morning, Natural Grandma viewers. Another part of Natural Grandma, the long, rich history of this almost 100-year-old farm is my son still does conventional farming. And sometimes conventional farming includes lots of equipment. This is a nice, long, old crane here. And he has planted corn all night long because we have rain clouds coming, and he's got some chemical left in this tank that needs to be out of here. So he's back there turning the valve back on. He got done about 2 counties away at like 3:30 in the morning and started sprinkling on him there, and he's moved south. He took just a little bit of a nap. I went and picked him up. He's come down to the house and cleaned up, washed up, had a little bacon and Natural Grandma eggs. And now he's going to try to run this tank out. There's some in there, you can see it kind of moving around, and we're going to go along and show you a little bit of what's kind of considered corporate farming, but in this case it's still family farming. This is what I grew up doing. My first planting, my planter was 13 feet wide, planted 4 rows. This planter is 60 feet wide, and it plants 24 rows in one pass of corn. That seed corn costs up way over $300 a bag, so the seed cost is probably up in the $100 an acre just for seed. This old monster is about to unfold. He's just going to plant. You can see them, clouds are coming. He's just going to plant, he says in about an hour he can plant 40 acres, and that will empty this tank out, empty seed out. That little micronutrient that's being put on out of that tank, once it's mixed, it's only good for 24 hours, and then it has to be used. So, yeah. This is a different part of our operation that still goes on. We've been doing regenerative farming, regenerative agriculture for well over 30 years, 35 I suppose. But the row crop operation on the rented acres has never went away. We always did our farming very holistically. A lot of rotations, a lot of cover crops. If you look in our pastures, you see a lot of terraces, and we've always tried to preserve our soil and do a good job. He'd be in there right now programming in that tractor to this field, making sure that it's accurately on where it's at. It works off a satellite, it knows where it's at. The tractor drives itself off the satellite with sub-inch accuracy. Each one of those rows are turned on and off individually. There's never any overplanting, never any wasted seed. I don't know if he's got this field all boundaried, but it won't let you plant outside the lines of the field. And this farm has had some dirt work done to it this year, some conservation work, terraces changed around and everything, so that's why this ground is worked. Our normal operation that he follows is no-till, which we started, Brooks is 39. We probably started no-tilling a year or two before he was born, probably 40 years ago. So our normal operation is to not till the ground. getting all the blowers running. The seed population is controlled by air and electronics. That planter, when it turns a little bit one way or the other, it changes the seed spacing on each row so it stays accurate even when it's being turned. There we go. It's following the terrace channel, not necessarily following the head. I don't know how well you'll be able to hear me as I get up here next to this unit. It's just a rare deal today for you to get to see large-scale farming in operation. Natural Grandma. Everything about this unit is controlled by electronics, precision monitors, John Deere monitors. You can see this kind of stale seed bed planting. Right where that seed goes, you notice it's all smooth and perfect. Still kind of coarse in the middle, so it does not have any more rows to the top. We're in a pretty dry year, so very important to conserve moisture. Those little units pack that, and so we just went over a terrace right there. That planter flexes, follows the ground very well. Welcome to Natural Grandma, our son's operation. He had a lot to do with the start of our cow herd, him and his wife and his son. And that's where our original Red Angus cows come from. He preserved the cow herd while I was out for about 10 years. And he got his own cow herd going and turned the cows from black and white to red. He wanted to introduce me to red cows. It wasn't Greg Judy, guys. It was my son. That's the Red Angus. Not exactly the same breed, but South Pole's got Red Angus in them. So. All right, he's going to go on around that field, and I think we're just going to quit following into him. So there's the planted area, 60 feet wide. Just going to go on off around the field, marking it all out. But conventional farming in northwest Missouri, it's not the grain that we use, but we're looking at going back to doing some non-GMO grain and some a little bit modified conventional, of possibly controlling our own feed, knowing the source on it. You always think you're buying the chicken feed, is, you know, we buy from a very secure company. We assume that we're buying non-GMO, but if you knew for sure yourself the seed that was put in the ground and knew for sure that it was safe, even on our eggs and even on our, we don't grain the cattle, but on our chickens, if we had hogs, the omnivores that need the grain, we could control that. Maybe the future is we'll go back to raising our own grain. My father always told me that if you owned your land and you raised your own grain and you owned all your livestock and didn't have any debt on it, he said the world, the government, nothing else could ever put you out of business. I always thought that was a fine idea. I haven't done a very good job of figuring out how to get there. I've always had too much debt in my life, but I think the non-debt is something that's very attractive in this day, that we will work towards with the blessing of God. But our roots go deep at Natural Grandma. The farm where the hens are and our grass finishing goes on has been in the family since 1928. My stepfather came there with his dad when he was 15. I came there with my mom when I was 12, and my son probably came there when he was about 2 or 3 days old. And of course his son has been following around. He's 12 and his footprints have been on that farm. So 4 generations, actually 5 generations, have been on this farm that we can trace back. And so we can control and have some knowledge about where the food comes from that you get from Natural Grandma. So it is 7:30 in the morning, and that tractor has been running all night long and has been in 2 counties to plant, crossed over about 2 counties, and now it's in its 3rd county in the last 24 hours. So whether they're conventional or whether they're organic or whether just regenerative farms like Natural Grandma is, your farmers work hard for you in order for you to be able to shop and be confident about your food source. And here at Natural Grandma, we have been part of this, producing food for generations. You can trust us. You can trust us. We know the source. We know from whence the food that we sell comes from. So shop. Come to naturalgrandma.com. Buy your non-GMO grain finished animals if you prefer that taste. If you're really into the health like we're changing into, we have the 100% grass finished that we have knowledge of. We have our eggs in the retail stores, Hy-Vee's over Kansas City. We're very proud of our history, our background, our knowledge of bringing you safe food for your family. So, as we always like to say at Natural Grandma, well, we always say like, share, and subscribe. buy our products. But you know what we really like to say? Good morning. We care about you. It's a day to worship and a day to say, we wish you were having this good a day. Enjoy your family. Don't forget to tell them you love them. Papa Hank from Natural Grandma.